Hello my dear friends, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. So you are very welcome in our lecture number 5 of exponents and powers. Okay, so I hope you will enjoy this lecture. So let's start without wasting the time. Yes, so today we are going to discuss about difference between exponents and power. Okay, so basically what is the difference between exponents and power? So if you observe this, here is in power refers to the whole expression. What is whole expression? Representing the repeated multiplication of the same number, and here is exponent represent the number of times the number of time the base number is used as factor in multiplication of itself. Okay, understand? So here if you observe this, in 2 raised to power 3, it is 2 into 2 into 2. So 2 is what? 2 is the base number which is to be multiplied by itself thrice, and could be also called as 2 to the power of 3 or 2 to the third power. Okay, and here is 3 is the exponent which represent the number of times 2 is to be multiplied by itself. I hope you understand these things, my dear friends. So when the number are expressed with an exponent, then it is said to be in the exponential form. What is in exponential form? Okay, so from the difference between power and exponent provided here, we can say that exponent is a little digit. Exponent is a little digit placed above to the right of the given number, while the power represent the whole expression containing the base number and the exponent. Containing the base number and the exponent. So I hope you cleared this. Okay, yes, now my dear friends, let's move on. Now let's solve lot of problems. Okay, so yes, here we have 32 raised to power minus 2 upon 5 divided by 125 raised to power minus 2 upon 3. Got it? Now here is, we know that we can write 32 as, we can write it is 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. Okay, so if you multiply, 2 into 2 is what? 4. 4 into 2 is what? 8. 8 into 2 is 16. And 16 into 2 is 32. It means we can write it as 2 raised to power 5. Okay. And we can write 125 as 5 into 5 into 5. It means this will become like 5 raised to power 3. I hope you understand these things. So, here is, we can write 2 raised to power 5 whole raised to power minus 2 upon 5. Okay. Divided by 5 raised to power 3 whole raised to power minus 2 upon 3. Okay. So now here we have to multiply the power. So this will become like 2 raised to power 5 into minus 2 upon 5. Okay, and here this will become like 5 raised to power 3 into minus 2 upon 3. So this 5 and this 5 is cancelled, and this 3 and this 3 is cancelled. So here we get 2 raised to power minus 2, and it is divided by 5 raised to power minus 2. Okay, understand? So this will become like here is 2 raised to power minus 2. Here if we apply the multiplicative sign, then this will be reciprocate. So this will become like 1 upon 5 raised to power minus 2. Understand? So here if you observe this, now we have to make the positive power. So this will become like, if we reciprocate this, here this will become 1 upon 2 raised to power 2 into, this will become 5 raised to power 2, because here we know that if a raised to power minus m, we can write 1 upon a raised to power m. We know that very well. So this will become like 5 raised to power 2 upon 2 raised to power 2. Now here is, base is what? Different, but power is same. So we can write it as 5 upon 2 raised to power 2. What is 5 upon 2 raised to power 2? So I hope you understand these things. So we can write it as 25 upon 4. What is 25 upon 4? This is the answer of this problem. Got it, my dear friends? Yes, now let's move on. Yes, next question. Here you can see that. Now here we have, what is the value of 67.542 raised to power 2 minus 32.458 raised to power 2, and it is divided by 75.458 minus 40.374. Okay, so we have to find the value of this expression. So so how we can find it? Let's do that. Yes, so here we have 67.542 raised to power 2 minus, we can write it as 32.458 and raised to power 2, and it is divided by 75.458 minus 40.374. Okay, yes. So here is, if you observe this, it is very complicated to find the square of this number. Okay, so here we are using, we know that a square minus b square is a plus b into a minus b. Okay, understand? So here a is what? A is this 67.542 and b is 32.458. So we can write here it as 67.542 plus 32.458 into, here is a plus b and we have to write a minus b, means 67.542 minus 32.458. Okay, and here if we subtract this, here we get 35 point, here we get 35.084. We get what? 084. Got it, my dear friend? Now if we add this term, okay, so if we add this, we get 100 into, and if we add this, here we get 35.084, and it is divided by, here we have 35.084. Okay, so we can cancel this, because here is, these are the same base and same power. Okay, so here we have 100. So this is what? This is the answer of this problem. This is what? This is the answer of this problem. Okay, now let's move on. Now here is, find the sum of the powers of the prime factors in 108 into 192. Got it? Okay, so first of all, here we have 108 into 192. So we have to break it into the prime factors. Okay, so how we can do that? So here is 108, and if we divide it by least number, so we can divide it by 2. So this will become like 54. Okay, and if we divide it by 2, here we get 27. Okay, and if we divide it by 2, we cannot divide it by 2 because it is not an even number. So we can divide it by 3 in 9 times, and we can divide 9 by 3 in 3 times, and here we get, yes, here we get 3 in 1 time. So we get the factors of 108. We can write 2 into 2 into 3 into 3 into 3. Okay, and now we have to find for 192. Okay, so here is 192. If we divide it by 2, here we get, this will become like 96. What is 96? And if we divide it by 2, here we get 48. We get what? 48. Again, if we divide it by 2, we get 24. Again, if we divide it by 2, we get 12. Again, if we divide it by 2, we get 6. And here we get 3. And now here, if we divide it by 3, we get 1. So the factors of 192 are 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. Here how many 2's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 2 into 2 into 3. Okay, so now if you count this, here we have how many 2's are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can write it 2 raised to power 8 into. Now here how many 3's are there? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here we have 3 raised to power 4. Now it is asking that find the sum of the powers of the prime factors. So 2 and 3 are what? These are the prime factors. Now we have to find the sum of the power of these factors. So here is what are these powers? So 8 and 4. So if we add this 8 plus 4 we get 12. So this is what? This is the answer. So here is sum of the powers of prime factors is equals to 8 plus 4, and this is what? This is 12. Okay, understand my dear friends? So this is the answer of this problem. This is what? This is the answer of this problem. Okay, my dear friends, just now the next problem here you can see that now find the value of 3 cube root of 2 into 7 cube root of 6 into 5 cube root of 80. Okay, so how we can find it? Let's do that. Now this is again very easy question. So here is we can write 3 into 7 into 5, okay, into cube root of 2 into cube root of 6 into and cube root of 18. Understand? Now here is, if you multiply this, here we get 105 multiply. Now we can write it as 2 raised to power 1 upon 3. We can write cube root as like this, into 6 raised to power 1 upon 3 into 18 raised to power 1 upon 3. Understand? So if you observe this, here is base is different but power is same. So we can write it as, we know that if we have a raised to power m into b raised to power m, we can write it as a into b whole raised to power m. So here we can use this exponent rule. So we can write 105 into, we can write it as 2 into 6 into 18, okay, and it raised to power 1 upon 3. Okay, understand my dear friend? So 105 into, after solving this, here we get, yes, here we get 216 raised to power 3, and we know that 216 we can write it as 6 into 6 into 6. It means 6 raised to power 3. We can write it as 6 raised to power 3. So this will become like 105 into 6 raised to power 3 whole raised to power 1 upon 3. So now here we have to multiply this power. So this will become like 105 into 6 raised to power 3 into 1 upon 3. Okay, and we can cancel this 3 and this 3. So here we get 105 into 6 into 6, and if you multiply this we get 630. Okay, this is what? This is the answer. Okay, I hope you understand these things, how to deal with these type of problems. Yes, now the next question is, here you can see that here we have compute 64 raised to power minus 1 upon 6 into 216 raised to power minus 1 upon 3. Okay, and into 81 raised to power 1 upon 4, and it is divided by 512 minus raised to power minus 1 upon 3 into 16 raised to power 1 upon 4 into 9 raised to power minus 1 upon 2. Okay, so now how we can do that? So here is, we can write 64 raised to power minus 1 upon 6 into 216 raised to power minus 1 upon 3 into 81 raised to power 1 upon 4, and it is divided by 512 raised to power minus 1 upon 3 into 16 raised to power 1 upon 4 into 9 raised to power minus 1 upon 12. Okay, so we can write 64 as 2 raised to power 6. Okay, and it has raised to power minus 1 upon 6 into, we can write 216 as 6 raised to power 3, and it is raised to power minus 1 upon 3 into, we can write 81 as 3 raised to power 4, and it has raised to power 1 upon 4, and it is divided by, here we can write 512 as, we can write this as 8 raised to power 3, and it has whole raised to power minus 1 upon 3. Multiply, we can write it as 2 raised to power 4, okay, raised to power 1 upon 4 into, we can write 9 as 3 raised to power 2, and it has minus 1 upon 2. Okay, now if you multiply the powers here, this will become like 6 can be cancelled by 6, 3 can be cancelled by 3, 4 can be cancelled by 4, 3 can be cancelled by 3, 4 can be cancelled by 4, and 2 can be cancelled by 2. So here we get 2 raised to power minus 1 into 6 raised to power minus 1 into 3 raised to power 1, and it is divided by, here is, you can see that 8 raised to power minus 1 into, this will become 2 raised to power 1 into, and here is 3 raised to power minus 1. Okay, understand? So here is, if we make the powers positive, so this will become like, this 2 comes in the denominator, and this 6 comes in the denominator, and this 8 and 3 goes on the numerator. Okay, so this will become like 8 into 3 into 3, and it is divided by, here is 2 into 6 into 2. So we can divide 8 by 2 in 4 times. Okay, and we can divide 4 by 2, okay, in 2 times. Understand? We can divide 6 by 3 in 2 times. Okay, and we can divide this 2 and this 2. So here we get this only this 3. So this is what? This is the answer. Okay, understand? So what we have done, first of all, we have to convert it into the powers, and then we have to multiply these powers, we get the result, and we solve this, we get the 3. Yes, so now my dear friends, so the next question here, you can see that, now what is the simplified form of, here you can see that here we have an expression like this. Okay, so here we have, it is cube root of x raised to power 4 into I, okay, into 1 upon, here is x square y raised to power 8. Okay, and whole raised to power what? Whole raised to power minus 6. Whole raised to power what? Minus 6. So we have to simplify this. So how we can do it? Let's do that. So here you can observe this. We can write it as x raised to power 4 into y. Okay, so whole raised to power, it is 1 upon 3 into, we can write it as x square y raised to power 8 whole raised to power, we can write this like 1 upon 4, and it has whole raised to power minus 6. Okay, so first of all we have to simplify the internal form. Okay, so now here we can separate this, like x raised to power 4 into 1 upon 3, okay, into y raised to power 1 upon 3, and it is divided by x raised to power into 1 upon 4 into y raised to power 8 into 1 upon 4. Okay, and it has whole raised to power minus 6. I hope you get this point. So this will become like x to power 4 upon 3 into y raised to power 1 upon 3, and it is divided by, this will become like, this can be divided by 2 times. So here we get x raised to power 1 upon 2. Okay, into, we get y raised to power 2, and it has whole raised to power minus 6. I hope you understand these things, my dear friends. So now here you can observe this, if here is, now here is base is same, okay, and power is different, so power will be subtract. Similarly in the case of y also, so this will be this can be written as x raised to power 4 upon 3 minus 1 upon 2 into y raised to power 1 upon, okay, y raised to power 1 upon 3 minus 2. Got it, my dear friends? Okay, so it has whole raised to power minus 6. Okay, my dear friend, now we have to solve this. So here how we can solve this? So here we have x raised to power 4 upon 3 minus 1 upon 2. You can see that 4 upon 3 minus 1 upon 2 into y raised to power, here is y raised to power what? 1 upon 3 minus 2. What is 1 upon 3 minus 2? And it has whole raised to power minus 6. I hope you get this point. So here we can write it as x raised to power. Now we can take 6 as a LCM. Okay. Now if we divide 6 by 3 we get 2, and 2 into 4 is what? 8 minus. Now if we divide 6 by 2, if we divide 6 by 2, so here we get what? Here we get 3, and 3 into 1 is what? 3. Okay, into, and here y raised to power, here we can take 3 as LCM, so we get 1 minus 6, and it has whole raised to power minus 6. Now we can write x raised to power 5 upon 6 into, we can write y raised to power minus 5 upon 3, and it has whole raised to power minus 6. Now again we can separate this, so this will become like x raised to power 5 upon 6 into minus 6 into y raised to power minus 5 upon 3 into minus 6. Got it? So we can cancel this 6 and this 6, and we can divide 6 by 3 in 2 times. So here we get x raised to power minus 5. Okay, so x raised to power minus 5 into, here we can write it as, and here we have y raised to power minus 5 into minus 2. Here we get 10. Okay, plus 10. So we can write y raised to power 10 upon x raised to power 5. So this is what? This is the answer of this problem. I hope you understand these things, my dear friends. Yes, now let's move on. Yes, so the next question here you can see that. Now find the value of 1 upon 1 plus x raised to power minus m plus 1 upon 1 plus x raised to power m. Okay. Now how we can solve this? So here you can see that we have 1 upon 1 plus x raised to power minus m plus 1 upon 1 plus x raised to power m. Okay, got it? So here we can write this x raised to power minus m is 1 upon 1 plus, we can write 1 upon x raised to power m, 1 upon x raised to power m. Got it? Plus this is what? 1 plus x raised to power m. So here is, this will become like, if we take x raised to power m as a LCM, here we get x raised to power m plus 1, and this is 1 plus 1 upon 1 plus x raised to power m. Now this x raised to power m will goes in the numerator, so this will become x raised to power m upon 1 plus x raised to power m. Okay, plus 1 upon, here is, this is what? 1 plus x raised to power m. Now we can take LCM, which is 1 plus x raised to power m, and this will become x raised to power m plus 1, and this is the same numerator and denominator, so this will become 1. So this is the answer. Yes, now here you can see that next question is, now again give the simplified form of 3 raised to power a into 4 raised to power a minus 2, okay, into 25 raised to power a plus 1, and it is divided by 9 raised to power a minus 1 into 2 raised to power a plus 1 into 5 raised to power a minus 2. Okay, got it, my dear friends? So here we have 3 raised to power a. We can write it as 2 raised to power 2 and whole raised to power a minus 2. Okay, into, we can write 25 as 5 raised to power 2, and it has whole raised to power a plus 1, and it is divided by, so this will become 3 raised to power 2 and whole raised to power a minus 1. Okay, into, it has 2 raised to power a plus 1 into, it has 5 raised to power a minus 2. Okay, now here you can see that 3 and 3 base is same, so power we can subtract this. Here again 2 and 2 base is same, and here we have 5 and 5. So first of all 3 raised to power a into 2 raised to power, this will become like 2a minus 4 we are multiplying 2 into a minus 2. Okay, and this is 5 raised to power 2a plus 2. What is 2a plus 2? And it is divided by 3 raised to power 2a minus 2, and it is 2 raised to power a plus 1 into 5 raised to power a minus 2. Okay, yes, so we can write 3 raised to power a minus, here is 2a minus 2. Okay, into, we can write 2 raised to power 2a minus 4 minus this term a minus a plus 1 minus a plus 1. Okay, into, here we can write 5 raised to power 2a plus 2 minus a minus 2. Understand? So here this will become like 3 raised to power a. If we open the bracket, all the sign will be changed, like minus 2a minus minus plus 2. Okay, into, this will become 2 raised to power 2a minus 4 minus a minus 1 minus a minus 1, and here this will become like into 5 raised to power 2a plus 2 minus a plus 2. Okay, so this will become like 3 raised to power a minus 2m. This is what? Minus a plus 2 into 2 raised to power 2a minus a, this is a minus 4 minus 1, this is minus 5, a minus 5, into, here is 5 raised to power 2a minus a, this is a, 2 plus 2, this is 4, a plus 4. So this is what? This is the answer. So we have 3 raised to power minus a plus 2 into 2 raised to power a minus 5. Okay, 2 raised to power is what? A minus 5, and 5 raised to power a plus 4. So this is the answer. Yes, I hope you understand these things. Yes, now next question here you can see that now which is greater of 2 raised to power 12 and 3 raised to power 8. Okay, yes. Yes, now we can compare like this. Here we can write 2 raised to power 12 as, here we can write it as 2 raised to power 3 into 4. We can break 12 as 3 into 4. Okay, and so we can write 2 raised to power 3 and whole raised to power 4. So this will like 8 raised to power 4. Okay, and we can write 3 raised to power 8 as, we can write 3 raised to power 2 into 4. We can write 2 into 4. So this will become 3 raised to power 2 and whole raised to power 4. And we can write 3 square is what? 9. So 9 raised to power 4. So now you can see that power is what? Power is same and base is different. So here is base is 9 is greater than 8. Okay, got it? So here is, you can see that 9 raised to power 4 is greater than 8 raised to power 4. So we can write 3 raised to power 8 is greater than, yes, 2 raised to power 12. This is what? This is the answer. Yes, now the next problem is, what is the simplified form of, here we have x raised to power a plus b whole raised to power 3 into x raised to power b plus c whole raised to power 3 into x raised to power c plus a, okay, and whole raised to power 3, and it has x raised to power a into, and here we have x raised to power b into x raised to power c, and it has whole raised to power 6. Okay, understand? So now my dear friends, here we can write it as x raised to power, we can multiply a plus b into 3, so this will become 3a plus 3b into x raised to power 3b plus 3c into x raised to power 3c plus 3a. Okay, and we can write in the denominator as x raised to power 6a, okay, into x raised to power 6b into x raised to power 6c. Here we have base is same and power is different, so we can add this. So this will become like x raised to power 3a plus 3b plus 3b plus 3c plus 3c plus 3a, and in the denominator it will become like x raised to power 6a plus 6b plus 6c. Okay, So this will become x raised to power 3a and 3a. So this is 6a. Okay, and here is plus. This will become 3b and 3b. So this will become like 6b plus 3c plus 3c, and again this is 6c. And in the denominator also we have x raised to power 6a plus 6b plus 6c. Okay, so here we can write it as x raised to power 6a plus 6b plus 6c minus 6a plus 6b plus 6c. Okay, now because here is base is same, so we can subtract the power. So this will become like x raised to power 0 and this is 1, because 6a minus 6a is 0, 6b minus 6b is 0, 6c minus 6a is 0. So here we get 1 in the answer. I hope you get this point, my dear friend. Yes, so now the next problem here you can see that now here we have 3 raised to power n is equals to 729. 729. Here we have to find the value of 3 raised to power 3n plus 1. So first of all we have to find the value of n. We have to find the value of n. So here we can write 3 raised to power n is equals to 3 raised to power 6. We can write this. So if we compare this, here we get, now compare power of same base of same base. So we can write this it as n is equals to 6. So the value of n is what? 6. Now put the value of this n in this expression. So here we have 3 raised to power 3n plus 1. So if we put the value of n, so this will become like 3 raised to power 3 into 6 plus 1. So this is equals to 3 raised to power 18 plus 1. Okay, and this will be 3 raised to power 19, and this is what? This is the answer of this problem. Okay, my dear friends, I hope you get this point. Yes, now let's move on to the next problem, which is, now here we have, if 27 raised to power x plus 1 is equals to 9 raised to power x plus 3 is equals to 3 raised to power y. Okay, now find the respective values of x and y. Here we have to find the values. Okay, so how we can find it? Let's do that. So first of all, here is, we are going to equate these two expressions. Okay, yes, so here is 27 raised to power is what? X plus 1. Okay, and it is equals to 9 raised to power x plus 3. We can write 27 as 3 raised to power 3. Okay, and this is whole raised to power x plus 1 is equals to, we can write it as 3 raised to power 2 and whole raised to power x plus 3. Got it? So we can write 3 raised to power, we can multiply 3 into x plus 1, so this will become 3x plus 3. Okay, and this is equals to, this will become like 3 raised to power 2x. Okay, 2x plus 6. This will become like this. Now we can compare the power of the same base. So here we can write compare power of same base. Okay, same base, because base is same, 3 3. Okay, so this will become like 3x plus 3 is equals to 2x plus 6. Now we can write 3x minus 2x, and this is 6 minus 3. So we can write x is equals to 3. So the value of x is what? 3. Okay, now we can take 9 raised to power x plus 3 and equals to 3 raised to power y. Okay, so 9 raised to power x plus 3 is equals to 3 raised to power y. Now here we know that x is what? X is 3. So we can put the value of x. So we get 9 raised to power 3 plus 3, and it has 3 raised to power y. So 9 raised to power 6, and this is equals to 3 raised to power y. Now we have to make the base same. So we can write 9 as 3 square and whole raised to power 6 is equals to 3 raised to power y. So this will become like 3 raised to power 12 is equals to 3 raised to power y. Now if you compare the power of the same base, so compare again compare the power of same base. Okay, so here is, this will become like y is equals to 12. So the value of y is what? 12. Okay, and x is what? This is 3. I hope you understand these things, my dear friends. So this is what? This is the answer of this problem. Okay. Yes, now next question here you can see that. Now here we have find 0.000064 raised to power 5 upon 4 into 0.04 raised to power 5 upon 4. Okay, understand? So now let's find that. First of all, here we have to convert it into the standard form. We have to convert, yes, it into the standard form. So here we can write it as 6.4 into 10 raised to power. How many powers will become? So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is minus 5 because we are converting this is very small and we are converting it into the standard form. So this will come like minus 5. Okay, and here raised to power 5 upon 4. I hope you understand these things. Now into, okay, and we can write it as 4 into 10 raised to power minus 2, and it has whole raised to power 5 upon 4. Okay, now we can write this it as 64 into 10 raised to power minus 6. Okay, we are shifting this decimal to the, yes, to this right direction, to the right direction. Okay, and here is one digit will be increased. Okay, and it has raised to power 5 upon 4 into, here is 4 into 10 raised to power minus 2 raised to power 5 upon 4. Now separate the powers. 64 raised to power 5 upon 4 into, okay, 10 raised to power minus 6 into 5 upon 4. Got it? Here is into, we can write this as 4 raised to power 5 upon 4 into 10 raised to power minus 2 whole raised to power 5 upon 4. Now my dear friend, okay, so here we can write 64 as 2 raised to power 6 and it has whole raised to power 5 upon 4. Multiply, we can write 10 raised to power. Here we can divide it as, we can divide 6 by 2 in 3 times and we can divide 4 by 2 in 2 times. So here we get minus 15 upon 2. Multiply by, here this will become like, we can write 2 raised to power 2 and it has whole raised to power 5 upon 4 into, we can write 10 raised to power, we can divide 4 by 2 in 2 times. Here we get minus 5 upon 2. Okay, so here you can see that, here if you observe these, again we can divide it as, again this will become like 2, we can divide 6 by 2 in 3 times and we can divide 4 by 2 in 2 times. So here we get 2 raised to power 15 upon 2 into 10 raised to power minus 15 upon 2, and this will become like, again this will be cancelled by 2 times. So here we get 2 raised to power, yes, 5 upon 2 into 10 raised to power minus 5 upon 2. Now here is base is same, then power will be added. So this will become 2 raised to power 15 upon 2 plus 5 upon 2 into, here is 10 raised to power minus 15 upon 2, and if we add this, here is the sign of negative, so this is minus 5 upon 2. So this will become like 2 raised to power, here is, this will become 15 plus 2 is what? 15 plus 5 is what? 20. So this is 20 upon 2. Similarly, 10 raised to power minus 20 upon 2. So this will become 2 raised to power 10 into 10 raised to power minus 10. So this is the answer of this problem. I hope you understand these things, my dear friends. Yes, now the next question here you can see that, by what number should we multiply 4 raised to power minus 3 so that the product may be equal to 64. Okay, so now first of all let us consider the number b the number bx. So we are considering the number bx. So here we have to multiply this x with 4 raised to power minus 3. So 4 raised to power minus 3 into x. So here this is 64. What is 64? Okay, understand my dear friends. So here you can see that we can write x upon 4 raised to power 3 is equals to 64. Okay, so this will become like x is equals to 64 into 4 raised to power 3. Okay, now here is we can write 64 as 2 raised to power 6 into, we can write 4 as 2 raised to power 2 and it has whole raised to power 3. So this will become 2 raised to power 6 into 2 raised to power 6. Okay, my dear friends, so from this x will be what? Here is 2 raised to power 6 plus 6, which is equals to 2 raised to power 12. So this is what? This is the answer. So this is the answer of this problem. Okay, so now my dear friend, this is enough for today and we will meet in the next lecture with the next amazing topic. So thank you very much for listening me and take care and goodbye.